Welcome back everyone, it's Blue Inferno here, and in today's video I'm going to give you a breakdown of Barbarian archetypes in Dark and Darker. If you're new to my channel or just want a refresher on what an archetype is, I made a video that's under 4 minutes long that you can quickly go check out. I have a link showing on screen now that you can click, and a link in the description of this video. The card is in the top right corner now. As always, I've included chapters in the video below if you want to skip to a particular archetype. Because the Barbarian has so many combinations available, I've decided to split it up into 2 parts, so this is going to be the first in a 2-video series. When I set out to make this series, I completely underestimated how much time I would need to put into a class to gain the understanding needed to create a functional idea. As many of you may have noticed, I made the Warlock, Fighter, and Cleric videos in quick succession, because those are the 3 classes that I've already played hundreds of hours of. And when I moved on to do the Barbarian video, I realized quickly how large of an undertaking this was. But in the process of learning the class well enough to create this video, I made some very unexpected discoveries about the class. And I strongly suggest that you try this class and experiment with the Barbarian's roles in team fights to see what you can find out for yourself. It's important to note now that the Barbarian doesn't get any ranged weapons aside from the Francisca axe, so its greatest weakness will always be long-ranged enemies that kite you. Because of that, I only listed it as a weakness if the archetype is especially vulnerable to it. Now with no further ado, let's begin. Crimson Slasher. Difficulty 4. Skills: Achilles Strike, Blood Exchange. Perks: Axe Specialization. This archetype is an absolute menace when the battle starts. You can either use Achilles Strike to run down your opponents, or if they choose to stand and fight, it can be used to lock them down and line them up for an easy headshot. Either way you choose to catch your enemies, when you activate Blood Exchange, you hack furiously until the bodies are piled high around your feet. Strength: Single Target Isolation. Weakness: Enemies that ignore movement effects. Berserker. Difficulty 2. Skills: Blood Exchange and Rage. Perks: Robust and Treacherous Lungs. Unlike the Crimson Slasher that can use Achilles Strike to trap and slow their enemies to create their opening, the Berserker lies in wait for the perfect time to strike. This archetype punishes overzealous enemies as soon as they're out of position. What you lose in the ability to entrap your enemies, you gain in combat efficiency though. Rage enables you to wear more armor and gives you more health and damage to punish your enemies with. Strength: Unmatched counterattack potential. Weakness: Running ahead of the team and taking too much damage over a short period of time. Gladiator. Difficulty 6. Skills: Rage and Reckless Attack. Perks: Treacherous Lungs and Executioner. This Barbarian makes use of frontline tactics to provide extreme pressure to the enemy frontline, while keeping Reckless Attack tucked away to crack through the armor of an enemy hardpoint. This is our first of a highly strategic Barbarians, able to not only crack heads, but to serve the team by drawing attention from the enemy, allowing your teammates to make use of that distraction. And if an armored enemy makes light of your presence, you send them back to the lobby with a Reckless Attack to the back of their head. Strength: Highly flexible on the front line. Weakness: Charging recklessly with both abilities activated. Meat Grinder. Difficulty 5. Skills: Reckless Attack and Savage Roar. Perks: Carnage, Morale Boost, and Treacherous Lungs. This archetype specializes at putting the enemy team on their back foot. If you can land your Savage Roar in the whole squad and chunk their main front line with Reckless Attack, you can knock the wind out of the sails of even the most powerful pushes, then carry on that momentum to cut down your enemies with relentless savagery. Strength: Disables enemy momentum. Greatest weakness: Being kited. War Boss. Difficulty 8. Skills: Savage Roar, War Cry. Perks: Treacherous Lungs and Robust. The ultimate team leader for any melee-focused squad. The War Boss buffs your team's health and reduces the enemy team's damage, all while dishing out tremendous blows. You'll not have any abilities to help you steal the show though, so make sure your team knows that after the big boss shouts, they better get to work. Honestly, this archetype teamed with a Bard and a Combat Rogue is crazy. Strength: Turns team into a wrecking ball. Weakness: No abilities to help catch or kill enemies. Finisher. Difficulty 3. Skills: War Cry and War Sacrifice. Perks: Treacherous Lungs and Berserker. The Finisher is one of the more unique archetypes in this list, as it just kind of feels like you're a Barbarian with some extra hit points and stats. And between those 2 things and Berserker, you become a time bomb to your enemies. Not only do you start the engagement by buffing up your team's health, you're rewarded by pressuring the enemy and eating a few hits along the way. This allows you to focus on positioning for a killing blow as your team lays down some pain. Strength: Extremely tanky. Greatest weakness: Catching a fleeing enemy. The Cimmerian. Difficulty 8. Skills: Achilles Strike and War Sacrifice. Perks: Axe Specialization and Berserker. The Cimmerian is a tactical combat expert, stacking a little more PDR and taking advantage of the dexterity provided by War Sacrifice. You weave your way into the enemy formation, blocking and trading hits to your advantage, all while waiting for the perfect target to slow with your Achilles Strike. This archetype is still flexible enough to bust out the old two-hander when the time is right, giving you a lot of versatility to be on the front line for your team safely. Strength, very flexible fighting style. Weakness, your team dependent. Achilles Barbarian, the classic. Difficulty 1. Skills, Achilles Strike and Rage. Perks, Treacherous Lungs. This is a classic meta barbarian as we know him. You use Rage and Achilles Strike to catch your enemy, then lay down the pain. This set of skills could be used more tactically in a teamfight if you need, but generally the mix of speeding yourself up and slowing one target enables you to single a target and stat check them into the ground. Strength, very difficult to escape. Weakness, enemies with shields. Kamikaze, difficulty 7. Skills, Blood Exchange and Reckless Attack. Perks, Robust and Berserker. Like all Blood Exchange archetypes, you're rewarded by being hyper-aggressive once you activate the ability. But unlike the others, you can activate Reckless Attack to overcome enemy targets. But any mishandling of the Reckless Attack is going to quickly result in your push becoming a suicide run. But if you land your hits, you may die so your team can win the day. Strength, Extreme Pressure while engaged. Weakness, missing your Reckless Attack. It equals a pointless death. Shock Trooper, difficulty 1. Skills, Rage and Savage Roar. Perks, Treacherous Lungs and Robust. This is one of the most flexible archetypes in this list, capable of maneuvering quickly, peeling NPC mobs, being the tip of the spear, or serving as a distraction for your teammates to exploit. The way I used it though, was I used Rage to sprint into the middle of the enemy team and debuff them with Savage Roar. By the time the enemy came to grips with how to deal with the Turbo Barbarian, they were already too weak to stop my team's onslaught. Strength, highly mobile. Greatest weakness, magic casting enemies. Tacti-barb, difficulty 7. Skills, Reckless Attack and War Cry. Perks, Robust and Treacherous Lungs. If a Sucker Punch was an archetype, this would be it. The Tacti-barb excels at buffing your team and applying pressure, while holding a run-ending Reckless Attack in reserve for the right target. Now don't get me wrong, you can frontline with the rest of the barbarians, but I believe this barbarian's combination of support skills and highly punishing flank sets him up to buff his teammates then smoke an enemy from their side when they least expect it. Strength, great team player. Weakness, chasing down enemies. Now that's going to be it for today. Part 2 of the Barbarian is in the works, so hopefully it won't take me too long to finish it up. If you want to see that video and more like it, please be sure to subscribe so you're notified when it comes out. That also really helps out a small content creator like myself, so thank you. I'm curious what you all think of the archetypes and what's worked for you guys, so feel free to leave a comment below. I really love hearing what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.